Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to Today in Bitcoin. Today is April the 24th, 2017. And we have a very special guest on the show today. It is Daniel of the Cred project. I'm going to introduce him in 1 second, but I do have one very important thing to say, is that on Wednesday, 12:45 p.m., Andy Hoffman is going to be on the show. That is important. Also, Shane's art is going to be the cover art for this video. I don't know if you see it now or not, but you will see it. He sells his art for 0.02 BTC. You can pay him in Litecoin. He loves Litecoin. And we're going to talk about a little bit of Litecoin today because Charlie Lee of Litecoin, he likes Decred. So Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm really excited to be here. I think we're going to have a good time and, hopefully answer a lot of questions the audience has as well.
Yes, that is very important. Audience, you can ask questions. I'm not necessarily going to be able to see your questions all the time, so you might have to repeat them. So wait about 5 minutes to throw them out there. Let Daniel talk for a while. He might answer your questions before you even ask them. This is going to be very interactive. But many of you out there in this live studio audience, or not studio audience, live audience, have requested Decred be on this show. Decred is like the legend of altcoins right now. And I am really proud to be the one that finally gets Decred on air, on the record. And Charlie Lee mentioned them back in January. That's how I found out about Decred. And a lot of you found out about it that way. And a lot of you started getting Decred apparently. So enough of me. Daniel, just start from the very beginning here. Tell us your Decred story. What is Decred about? How do you get into Decred?
Okay, well, I'll start out with kind of how I found Decred and what got me excited initially about it, because I know I've been excited about it a lot longer than a lot of folks. It was late 2015. Anybody that was around then remembers how brutal 2015 was. It was like the great altcoin depression. I mean, there wasn't anything to invest in. There wasn't anything to buy. And I was scouring Bitcoin Talk one day, and I, ran across a new announcement thread. I mean, this is back in the day too, when scouring Bitcoin Talk might have been productive. Today it's so cluttered, it's just ridiculous. So I ran across this thing called Decred, which at the time, and actually for the past year, I've called it Decred, with little fun fact. But it is in fact Decred for anybody that's curious about how to pronounce it. And as I was, reading through the announcement thread, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, these guys. This is different than kind of what I've been seeing. There's so many shit coins out here and just so many just ridiculous projects and, people just throwing these scams up, and Decred looked professional, and then I started doing some research into the team, and I found that, oh my gosh, I mean, these guys created BTC Suite, which for anybody who doesn't know is a full node implementation of Bitcoin written in Go. And BTC Suite is highly respected in the Bitcoin industry. A lot of application developers build on top of BTC Suite and use it as their Bitcoin library. So from that point on, I mean, I was sold. So I signed up for the airdrop. I got the airdrop. And then we just kind of watched the price go down for a year. So I said, okay, cool. I'll buy a little more here, and then I'll buy a little bit more here, and then I'll buy a little bit more here. And eventually I bought the bottom, and the rest is history. But kind of fun fact how I made it on the Decred team, early January of this year, I'd say the 1st or the 2nd, I was angry, and I showed up in our Slack channel, and I started, I was being mean to Jake and the rest of the guys and kind of giving them a really hard time. We can laugh about it now, but it wasn't so funny back then, just due to the irony of the situation. But I said, guys, we got to get some marketing. We've got to put ourselves out there in front of people. We need to bring people on the team. Now is the time. We're going to see this big altcoin boom, and we need to be there, and we need to, show up to play. So if Decred's going to have its, its moment in the spotlight, we got to get on the ball, guys. And to my surprise, we all hated each other for a second, and then we said, okay, well, let's get down to business. Let's make this happen. And I actually went to the Ubix Slack channel, a lot of great folks in there, and said, hey, Decred's hiring, guys. I mean, who wants to come work for Decred? And Coin Artist was like, me. I want to come work. And we brought her on. I had no idea who she was or, you know, how awesome she was back then, but we brought her on and, you know, we started kind of conspiring, you know, we're going to do these puzzles and we're going to, you know, put out charts and we're going to increase community exposure and talk about this on Bitcoin Talk and Poloniex and Twitter and just kind of get the buzz out about Decred. So that's, I guess, kind of my origin story and you know, how Decred reeled me in. And the more and more I get to know these guys, the more and more I'm exposed to the developers and the community and just made aware of what's coming for Decred, the more excited I get about the project.
Well, excellent. I'm glad you're a fan of marketing, and I'm glad you want to get the word out, because, you know, as an impartial observer, I felt the marketing, there could have been a bigger reach out on your guys' part at the time. And because there were these, you know, I guess the question is this: what did you think of when Charlie Lee all of a sudden mentions you guys on Twitter as his governance coin, as his favorite governance coin? What was that like? I mean, that was, talk about marketing. That was like a gift from heaven almost.
It really was. It was just divine intervention almost. And you know, people that know me well, you know, I am kind of one of the Twitter traders, I guess you could call it, in the altcoin community. Will know that I shield Decred hard. I mean, to the point where they were like, dude, you know, like, shut up, man. Like, we're sick of you. Like, quit talking about it. And we were kind of doing a little guerrilla marketing. So we were searching for conversations on Twitter to where we could, you know, interject and bring up Decred, and of course it's out of context, but in an in context way to bring exposure to the project and maybe get some key players such as Charlie excited about the project. And, you know, we tried several big names, you know, and I'm not going to just, you know, rail them all off, but, you know, anybody big in Bitcoin, altcoin, you know, we inserted Decred into the conversation. So I saw Charlie was having a conversation with Fluffy Pony's. I believe that's how you say it. Maybe not. And was talking about some kind of code base. You know, he had looked at Monero's code base, and, you know, he thought it was legitimate or something like that. And I said, hey, Charlie, you know, would you mind checking out Decred's code base for a second? If you have a moment, I'd really appreciate it. And Charlie is a fantastic guy. I mean, he's been a big influence in the Bitcoin, the altcoin community, and he's done a lot for a lot of up and coming projects. And Charlie was like, oh, wait, Decred is based on proof of activity. And I actually wrote a paper on proof of activity, I believe in 2013. And he had talked to Taco Time a while back, who, you know, worked on kind of the predecessor to Decred, you know, what became Decred eventually. And he got excited about it. And it was just, like you said, it was divine intervention. And to see him tweet something like that, we were all honored. I'm a really excitable guy, so I was like, you know, like, Charlie Lee just tweeted all this stuff about Decred. But, you know, everybody's really glad to have him here. He's actually in our Slack quite often. As I said on yesterday's show for our Decred show, he's normally trolling people, but, you know, that's why we love Charlie. He's a hilarious guy. He does a lot for the project, and, you know, we're very appreciative of what he's done so far and his contributions.
I wanted to point out to everyone that important Decred links are linked to below. And if I forgot any, you know, please tell me, and I will add them after the show. You can check that out. And remember, live viewers, pound that like button now. And even if you're not watching this live, pound that like button. We want people to find out about this video and this channel and everything that's going on. Now, you mentioned proof of activity. And at the same time, why Charlie even brought up you guys is governance, the governance of the coin. So tell us about the special governance, and tell us about proof of activity. Tell us all about that stuff. What's going on there? Because that's what makes this, you know, because there's so many altcoins out there. Why Decred?
So the thing that's special about Decred is that the core foundation of the coin is built around governance. Decred is meant to be the governance coin, and it is designed to do it better than anyone else. And the thing about Decred, you know, that's different than some other coins is, you know, we actually pre-code the upgrades into the blockchain. So into the software, we'll release an update, and, you know, holders of Decred will actually vote on whether or not to activate these upgrades that are pre-coded. Now, if we reach a specific threshold, which is 75%, I believe, then the upgrades are automatically activated, and the chain will fork, you know, the consensus rules by itself without developer intervention to this new set of rules, which is really cool. So how does this work? Well, we have a polling period, right? And our proof of stake is very different than most people. You know, you'll normally see proof of stake models that proof of stake actually generates blocks and helps to advance the network. Well, our network is actually advanced and secured through proof of work. And you can think of our proof of stake as kind of like a 2FA on our chain, a second factor authentication. So every block, you know, these stakeholders purchase tickets. And by purchasing these tickets, you're essentially purchasing a right to vote. Now, holders of Decred have been voting since the beginning, but not on, you know, what to add and, you know, what to change. Should we bump block size? Should we do this? Blah, blah, blah. We've been voting on the validity of the previous block. But every block, 5 tickets are called to vote. And we analyze those votes to get an accurate sample size, you know, and kind of get a feel of what the community wants to do over a period of time, which is 1 month, I believe, to kind of gauge, you know, should we push forward in this direction? Should we push forward in that direction? You know, what should we do? So the coolest thing about this is, you know, there's other coins that have governance models, you know, and that's very obvious, right? But the key difference is that our governance model is the key feature of Decred. It is what Decred is built to do. And if we pass a vote, the developers may not like the outcome of the vote, but there's no veto button. The chain's going to do what the holders of the coin feel is best. You know, it's not like we can vote on something and then it's the developers are like, oh, no, we don't like the way you guys voted. That's too bad, right? So that's what makes Decred special.
Now, can the developers just quit though if they don't like what's going on? I mean, that's an option?
Okay. Absolutely. And here's the cool thing. So Decred is designed to, you know, transform, and we're beginning this transformation tomorrow with our big version 1 release, into a decentralized autonomous organization. And every block, a certain amount of coins are set aside in a development subsidy fund. Now, the coolest thing, and this just speaks a lot of Jake, the leader of the project organizer, who's the custodian of those funds, we have an enormous amount of Decred in the development subsidy. And that's because we are very frugal with the way we spend our money. So when this voting goes live and when we have the option to begin voting on things, there's a lot of money there. There's millions of dollars, you know, there for the communities to spend. So let's say Company Zero is like, you know what, we really don't like you guys. I can't believe you voted this way. You know, I doubt they would ever do this because they're so passionate about the project. But hypothetically, they're like, screw you guys, we're going home. You know, like, we're not working on this anymore. We actually have the ability to hire new developers. It's a feature of the blockchain. And based on version 1, you know, coming out tomorrow, Company Zero is going to transition to a contractor role for Decred. So we will be contracting work from Company Zero to continue the development of the blockchain from that point on.
Now, this aspect of the coin is very, very interesting to me. I had heard about this because I know that, you know, Dash, for example, Dash pays someone to do their marketing. They have a spokeswoman, as you know.
Correct.
You guys have a setup, from what you're saying, where it can be voted on to allocate this money just about any way. You can hire a marketing team. You can hire more developers. It's what the community wants, basically.
Correct. And this reward is generated every block, so it accrues kind of in a savings account. You know, whereas I believe with Dash, they create funds. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe that's how it works. Now,
we've got a lot of people out there who are interested in all sorts of altcoins, all sorts of aspects of cryptocurrency. I'm pretty, and a lot of them are young guys that want to get involved, not by owning, but by working, being part of a cryptocurrency. How would a person go about making a proposal to hire them, for you guys to pay them money to be their marketing guru, let's say? How would one go about doing something like that?
There's actually 2 answers to this question, and so I'll answer it in 2 ways. There's a present and then there's a near future answer. So up until this point, kind of Jake is in charge of the hiring, right? That's how we normally hire people that pay this is what I just like to say, pay in blood. We like to see people who come and are just incentivized by their passion of the project, put forth an effort to advance the project. That's how I landed a spot on, the marketing team. It was because I did a lot of work on my own for free. And, Jake was like, oh, well, we can bring you onto the team, because you've poured so much of yourself into this. You're obviously very passionate, about what we're doing here. But in the future, we're going to have basically, as Jake described it, a second layer, which is pegged to our blockchain and interacts with our blockchain to where people can submit proposals. So, I mean, for example, let's say people are like, man, I am sick and tired of that Daniel guy. I really hate him. Let's get rid of him. Let's axe him. Let's fire him, right? I mean, they can do that. I hope that's not the case. I like being here and, I love Decred, but, that's their decision. They can do that. And we can also hire people that way. I hired the development team and do all sorts of really cool things. And that proposal system is something that's in the works and should be available within, I believe, the next few months.
All right, so you're transitioning to a new way, and a way that's, I think, a better way. In fact, some would think a more fair way of getting people involved in the project. You mentioned also, and I was going to ask you a specific question: what is the recent pump due to? But I think the better question is, you have your version 1 release tomorrow. Obviously, people have caught wind of that rumor. I believe that is probably the answer to that question. Why there's been a pump recently of the price. What is this version 1 release? What is it all about? And maybe, do you think that's why the price just pumped, or can you even say?
Yeah, I can answer all of those questions. Well, there's a few reasons, I think, that are behind our price increase. One is we have a staking mechanism that by design locks a percentage of the coin supply. So, simple supply and demand. If you constrict the supply and there's an increasing demand, the price of the asset is going to rise. And people say, well, why would you constrict the supply? That sounds strange. You're drying up liquidity in the markets. But there's actually a very good reason for that. And these people that are staking, these people that are purchasing these tickets and locking their coins, it's a proof of sacrifice model. They are willing to make these coins unspendable for a specific period of time in order for their voice to be heard, because they believe in what they are saying, and they believe that they are saying the right things for Decred, and voting in an appropriate way. And that's kind of what we're moving to. But version 1, and this is definitely a reason for our recent price increase as well, is it's what Decred is all about. Now, Decred, BTC Suite was created around 3 years ago and has been in development for around 3 years. So Decred is a fork of that, a fork of BTCD. And what Decred, kind of the whole mission of Decred is to be this governance champion, the best governance coin. And everything they've been working towards for the last, you could say 3 years, because this work, goes even precedes the creation of Decred. Is kind of coming together and becoming available on our mainnet for the first time tomorrow. So that's a really big deal. And it's a historic moment for cryptocurrency. This is the moment when, the people, the holders of this currency, become empowered and are able to, kind of put their voice forward and have a say in the direction of the project. So it's definitely a big deal.
So tomorrow is, in a sense, the debut of the real Decred, almost,
of
the hardcore Decred. Well, we've got 100 live viewers right this second. So
wow.
Mark this moment, you 100 live viewers. You're witnessing history tomorrow, and pound that like button if you like insights like this that you're getting on this very show. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
But yeah, I mean, that is a really big deal, and we're extremely excited about it. And as you said, Adam, I mean, this is the real beginning for Decred. And the coolest thing about what tomorrow's update does for Decred, and we're actually going to have two issues to vote on when this update comes out. And the first of those issues is a change in our staking difficulty algorithm. Anybody that's already familiar with Decred, you've seen the stake price. It's stuck in this oscillatory pattern. It goes up and down, and the bad thing about that is it causes fee wars between the people bidding for the tickets. And who gets these fees? The proof of work miners. Now, we love our miners. They're, an essential part of our blockchain and the project as well. But, miners have electricity costs. Miners, or some of them at least, sell for profit. So you're creating the situation where you're actually creating sell pressure or more sell pressure than necessary on the market, because miners are getting sometimes up to double the subsidy that they are, supposed to receive. And what you're doing is you're also it's just creating the situation where sometimes people are paying outrageous fees for these tickets. So this new algorithm is incredibly important because it's going to stabilize the oscillations, and it's going to make it much more smooth. Dave, our lead developer, has done a lot of testing on a lot of algorithms that have come in from the community and the development team themselves, and we think we have a really good solution to put forward. So we really hope people vote that in. Now, the next issue, which is just as exciting, if not more, is Lightning Network integration. Lightning Network, it's a big deal, guys. And, a lot of people don't know much about the Lightning Network. I'm one of them. But I do know that it's going to enable millions of transactions per second, which is incredible. It's also going to enable things like cross-chain atomic swaps, which is also incredible. And people don't realize this, but there's a blog post in January from the Lightning Network developers, and they said that their favorite Bitcoin library is BTC Suite. Well, hey, guess who made BTC Suite? The Decred developers. And guess who's voting on beginning work on Lightning Network integration? Us, tomorrow. So, I mean, it is all, the synchronicities here are incredible, and you see this familiarity, with each other already, and you see this big deal, being able to scale like that is really a huge deal in cryptocurrency, and it's not a problem yet, but the Lightning Network is going to enable a lot of things for the Decred blockchain. So we're incredibly excited to push that forward.
I wanted to point out that one of my very wise watchers of the channel yesterday, he said he wanted me to specifically ask you about the Lightning Network, which I was going to do, and you just brought it up on your own, which is totally awesome. So you're saying tomorrow is the first day that people can vote on deciding on when the Lightning Network is going to start. When do you think the Lightning Network will be implemented? When do you think this will actually, when will it be live? That's not happening tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Of course not. There is a significant amount of work. The Lightning Network integration is no small task. So in our interview 2 weeks ago on our show with Dave Collins, the lead developer of Decred, we asked him the same question. And he said he expects roughly 3 months of work, that needs to be done from the time of us voting. Now, there's 2 votes that are going to be required, right? The first vote is, and we're going to do this on a lot of bigger issues that require enormous amounts of work. Should we do the work? Is there enough interest? Will this pass or is there a good probability of it passing, if we begin the work on it? Okay, yes. So we're going to do the work. Then we're also going to vote on, when the work is completed, should we activate this upgrade? And if we activate the upgrade, there it goes. The chain does it on its own. It's automatic. It's awesome.
Well, I've got to say, now, obviously, the Lightning Network is huge news in both the Litecoin world and the Bitcoin world. So if you guys could implement Lightning Network before Litecoin did it, because Litecoin is going to do it before Bitcoin did it, I think that's pretty huge. So do you guys have a goal to implement it before anyone else does, before Litecoin does?
I would definitely say, that's kind of an under the rug goal. It's not something that's like, okay, guys, this is the plan. This is what's got to happen. It's got to get done before anybody else. But I mean, there is a very distinct possibility that Decred will be the first coin with Lightning Network implementation. Now, this is all, at the will of our voters, of course. I mean, these guys could say, nah, we don't want Lightning Network. I don't know why they would, but that's definitely a possibility. But yeah, I mean, even if we're not number 1, Adam, I mean, we'll be number 2 or number 3 for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that in my mind.
I think it would just be quite the benefit and quite the news story, and get a lot of people interested in Decred. If you are the one that they're like, oh, look how great this Lightning Network is working, and it's working on them first. I mean, I'm not saying that you guys are a test net for Litecoin or anything like that, because you're clearly going in a completely different direction than they are. But it would be, it's definitely something I think people who are now watching this, we have like 120 people, they'd be very interested in seeing that happen. Now, I want to go circle back to something that you said before and something that interested me. First off, when did Decred officially start? And then, because someone had a question about that, but also tell us about this airdrop that you mentioned. You guys gave away your coin at one point early on. So tell us about those early days of the airdrop and when you actually did start.
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's been so long, so forgive me if I'm a few days off, but I believe we began on February the 28th of 2016. You know, as I said, it's been a long time, so you know I could be wrong on that, but I know that that approximation is correct. I know our Bitcoin Talk post went live in December of 2015, I believe, and what we actually did, and Jake explained this a little bit yesterday, is there is a pre-mine with Decred. We're very open and transparent about that. But the pre-mine is compensation, and this is all outlined, on Bitcoin Talk, I believe, and also in our documentation for the amount of money that Company Zero had already put into BTC Suite development, which Decred came from. Also, in addition to Decred development. Now, Jake actually still funds this project from Company Zero to the tune of, he said, $60,000 to $70,000 per month, kind of pro bono. We all call him Batman because of that. He's kind of this philanthropist type, which is really cool. But Decred has been around for, I'd say, solidly a little over a year now. So it's just kind of it's beginning to emerge. People are just starting to learn about it. It's been referred to as the sleeping giant by many, and I wholeheartedly believe that.
I've got a question here. This is my question, actually. Do you have a cap on the amount of Decred that are going to be produced? And also, that can be changed, can it? If people voted to, if there is a cap, it can be voted to be changed. So is there a cap on, what's the inflation rate? What's going on with that?
So there is a cap on the amount of Decred that there will be. The current total maximum amount of Decred there will ever be is 21 million, just like Bitcoin, and unlike Bitcoin, we don't have this halvening model, which causes these, dramatic events that, lead to speculation and other things. We actually have a decay model where about every 3 weeks, you'll see the block reward drop slightly. And this happens over a very long period of time. So it's going to be a situation, unlike Bitcoin, where, okay, the rewards are this, and then, a year later they're this or whatever, to where maybe a year later you'll look back and say, wow, a lot more Decred used to be produced than it is now. And it's not something that, I think is obvious or that you'll realize, but, that is how it works. And, to your point, if the community voted and said, hey, we want 40 million Decred ever, or, we want to reduce the block reward or blah, 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 I feel that a lot of people in the community, and especially a lot of holders of Decred, feel that the development team, Company Zero, they put an enormous amount of work into calculating, the rate of release for Decred, right? And I think we're all very comfortable with where it is now. So I doubt that's something that would ever happen, but hypothetically, it could. That's our decision. We can do what we want.
All right, this is all about governance here, and I've got a question from the audience that is about governance. I wanted to say that, to me, at least before we started talking, it seems like that governance is the altcoin flavor of the month. That there are a lot of altcoins that are just dropping that term right now. Revolutionary governance structure, I heard yesterday. Someone mentioned that about some other crazy altcoin out there that has 4 letters. But so some people are already, I guess, becoming cynical when they hear governance. And a question from the audience is, governance in a bubble is meaningless. there needs to be a use case for the coin. What proposals do you expect to bring an actual use to the coin? Do you plan to compete against Bitcoin? So I just said a mouthful there. I guess to the question, what do you have an answer to that question there?
Well, the cool thing about Decred is that it has unlimited potential. This coin can be whatever we want it to be. Let's say that we want it to be the top Anon coin. We can make it the top Anon coin, and that's something that's possible through our voting system. Let's say that the holders of the currency want to steer it to be the best blockchain market. We can do that. Let's say that we want the coin to be whatever. Honestly, the potential is unlimited. And we're talking about the ability of the coin to evolve. And people are talking, governance. It's just a thing. It's just a phase. What they don't realize is that governance is the killer app in crypto, and that's because if things can't evolve, if they can't move forward, then somebody's always going to come behind them and do it better. Now, you do have things like Bitcoin, which has the first mover advantage. It'd be very, very difficult for anybody to overtake Bitcoin in the sense of adoption, brand recognition, things of that nature. But, Decred's potential is unlimited. And that's what I'm, personally invested in. That's what I believe in, is the potential of this coin to not become irrelevant, to continue to move forward, to continue to make decisions. And that's where progress comes from.
And so you're basically saying that governance to Decred is the freedom to change, the freedom to pivot and get better, not get stuck in a rut, I guess. That's something that governance does. Because again, a lot of people just tossing the word governance out there, and there's very little meaning behind it. And I think during this interview, you've definitely explained what governance is for Decred, and I think it is appealing. It's piquing people's interest, no doubt, in the coin that you have this. It's unique. It's unique. These other people that are dropping the name governance, I have no idea if they even think of it, the way you just described it and everything.
But and a lot of that is. A lot of these other governance coins, built a coin and then they spliced all of these features and buzzwords in, right? And governance is kind of an afterthought, whereas with Decred, governance is the thought. It is the main reason for the project, and we're constructed around that. So I believe that's what makes us superior.
Now let's something that was brought up. Then I was meaning to ask you, tell me your thoughts on Bitcoin here. We started talking a little bit about Bitcoin. You seem to have a general, you admire it. It seems like you respect it. Tell us your thoughts on Bitcoin, its direction, and where you see Bitcoin in the year 2020, where you see Decred compared to it.
Well, Bitcoin has been a big part of my life for a long time, and I'm sure you can identify with that, Adam. And I am very passionate is the word that you would use to describe how I feel about Bitcoin. And, not only has it made a big impact in my life, but it's made a big impact in, the lives of other people I know, and if people are in need, I've been able to help them with Bitcoin, just like Bitcoin one day helped me. And, I don't think Bitcoin is a train that can be stopped. I think that we're definitely, taking a little pause here at the station. You've got that funny business going on with Bitfinex right now, where apparently people can't withdraw fiat currency, and it's causing this kind of ramping effect where nobody wants to sell because there's no reason to, and it's driving the price up. Long term, for me, the only direction for Bitcoin is up. Guys, there's 21 million of these things in existence. This is a once in a lifetime phenomenon, and it is not going away. And if you think about it, what is there 7 billion people in the world? People joke, 1 Bitcoin for your retirement, but I'm a strong believer in that. I've talked my friends, my family into purchasing 1 Bitcoin. You never know what it will be worth. One day I've given employees Bitcoin as bonus, told them to hold on to it for dear life. Don't you dare spend it, even though it's worth a lot of money now. And I think that Bitcoin not only, has the ability to change your life in a financial sense, but also has the ability to change the world due to the technology, the blockchain, the technology to be your own bank, to eliminate the middleman, and really take the power back from these governmental bodies that have kind of held us down for so long. I know that sounds all revolutionary, you know, or whatever, but it is the truth. You know, Bitcoin is disruptive. It is once in a lifetime opportunity. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. Now, Decred and Bitcoin, or in relation to Bitcoin, Decred, as I said, you know, has the ability to evolve and will never stop evolving. There is no telling what Decred will be or what it can do in the year 2020. And I am definitely going to be holding my Decred because the possibilities are endless. You know, the amount of changes that we will have made, the amount of upgrades spliced in, they really are endless.
Wow. Well, I got to tell you, that answer was that was a good answer with the Bitcoin stuff. You got a lot of respect for Bitcoin, and that is cool. And you know, you're honest. Like, have one Bitcoin. I mean, that's what I tell people too. You know, try to get one, then try to get 10 if you can. And you know, long term, 20.
You can never stop.
and another thing, you know, I've had other guests talk about other altcoins and whatever. You might be the first one who simply said, I am holding my Decred. I am holding it for 2020. I mean, you basically said that, which is it's a reassuring thing when someone, it's what you want to hear from a representative of a coin, first of all. But like, I actually made a reference before to a four-letter altcoin that was talking about revolutionary governance. And I should say it was PIVX, because some people are going to say, oh, Adam, you're talking about Dash. I was not talking about Dash. I was talking about PIVX, but the guy that was interviewed by Tone, I mean, he said, I'm not a buy and hold type of person. Now, again, that I don't know exactly what that meant, but he's talking about revolutionary governance of PIVX. You're talking about governance of Decred. I mean, it's like we're in a whole different world over here. No offense to anyone else. I give you a lot of credit here. Now, I want to say, what do you think of Bitcoin's governance, though? What do you think of their governance? We're talking about governance. We're talking about Bitcoin. What do you think?
It obviously doesn't work. You know, it doesn't work. Something's got to change. Someone's got to give. And honestly, like, there's so much I feel like just trolling going on with this Bitcoin stuff right now, you know, and it's just this big like EP contest, you know, and people are like, oh, mine's bigger, you know, and then somebody else like, oh no, mine's bigger. And it's just, honestly, it's quite ridiculous, you know, and that's disturbing to me. Now, are we going to overcome this? Of course, you know, time will heal most wounds, but it's very frustrating to me to see, you know, SegWit stalled for this long, you know, when the currency obviously has issues handling the number of transactions on the network right now. Something's got to be done. And, you know, that's when I say, you know, I hold Decred, that means a lot coming from me because, you know, as you said about that other guy, I'll say I'm not a buy and hold kind of guy either. You know, this is altcoins, man. You know, you gotta buy and get your Bitcoin and get out, right? But Decred is a long-term project, and because it will never become obsolete, because we can always pivot, because we can always move forward, that's why I am holding Decred, and it is the only long-term bag that I have besides Bitcoin, and there's a very good reason for that. I do not hold things long. It is very dangerous in this space. But with Decred, I mean, that's a no-brainer for me, 100%. I mean, this is good stuff.
Wow, you know, my video yesterday was about this very topic, how I don't think that you ask an altcoiner, are you going to still be holding this altcoin in the year 2020? They're going to say no. And a lot of people didn't get that. And maybe if they're watching now, they're starting to get what I meant by that. Now, I did say, and I said that people just buy Bitcoin just to hold it, just so they'll have it in the year 2020. And again, and I talked about, you know, possibly there's some Ethereum people and some Monero people who want to hold until 2020 also. I mean, I'm talking about the other alts like
there are good projects that I think that there's valid reasons for holding. You know, Ethereum's definitely one of those, and you know, we're talking about other disruptive technologies and, you know, other what if scenarios. But, you know, there's not many of those projects in existence. And, you know, there's a lot of clones. There's a lot of impersonators. You want to invest in unique. You want to invest in people and not hype. I see a lot of these coins, and it's so sad because, Adam, I believe, do you remember Crave not too long ago?
I don't remember that one, but I remember a lot of other ones, man.
I mean, just pump and dump. And it's honestly just so sad to see people get scammed like this and lose their money. Because, you know, they buy into all of this hype, and I know it's so exciting, you know, as a newcomer. When I was new, I got into this, and, you know, it it was Dogecoin season, man, or Doggy or Doge or however you want to say it. And, people were such, wow. And I was like, wow, I'm a Dogecoin millionaire. This is insane. And, eventually you get burned. So don't buy into the hype and all this crap, guys. I mean, you really need to invest in people. You need to invest in track records. And I don't think there's anyone who has the track record that Decred has, and the team behind, Decred that the Decred has. They really are respected. These guys have been around for a long time. I mean, these guys are all stars, and I think that their GitHub accounts and their history proves that fact.
You mentioned that weird altcoin. The one I bring up is Quark. Quark was a big pump and dump there that I think of. Well, pound that like button, everyone that's out there. If you remember Quark, or if you love this interview, definitely pound that like button. Now, it's so funny. I had a question written down here. Are there any other altcoins that you like? And you started to sort of get into that a little bit. You're not a holder of any other altcoins, but are there other projects of interest to you, or maybe they're not? You did say Ethereum.
Well, I actually do hold one other altcoin, and it's called Nexus. If anyone's heard of it, it's definitely, it's a YOLO play of mine. They've got to deal with vector space systems out of Arizona. Definitely something I've been, involved in for a long time, and they're working on some disruptive technology as well. They're a little under the radar, but just in terms of super large, positions relative to what I would ever consider having, Decred is my go-to coin for that. Now, a lot of people say, Ethereum could be a big deal, but, my concerns with Ethereum as an investment grade asset are the inflation rates of Ethereum. You have so many coins coming to market, and, it is supply and demand. I mean, what if these applications aren't burning enough? What do they call it, Adam? Gas, like what if they aren't burning enough gas, and there's too much Ethereum in the market? That's definitely something that could be a bubble, and I would be hesitant to buy at these levels, although I could be wrong. As a trader, I'm wrong frequently, and that's something you have to learn how to accept.
The point you made about Ethereum has been brought up numerous times on the show, so it's good to hear it from somebody else's mouth. And how do you spell that Nexus anyway? How's that spelled?
Nexus.
Yeah, because I think there are other coins with similar names to that, and that might lead to some confusion. Hey, everyone, check out this Bitcoin shirt, the Bitcoin comet hitting the Federal Reserve. You could get that at Linda's giftsdirect.com. The link is below. Use the Meister discount if you're using cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Litecoin or Dogecoin to get it. I thought I would just mention this shirt and show it to you and see what you thought of that. Maybe this guy at Linda's Direct. I mean, he'll make a Decred shirt for you too, man. If you guys want Decred shirts, I'm sure we can work something out. So let me ask. Cool. Someone told me about something called DCRvault.com. Have you heard of that?
I have actually not heard of that, Adam.
Okay, so that was. I want to know how legitimate that was. Someone that you'd be able to store your Decred there. I don't want now. Now I'm scared that I even brought it up. Because if you haven't heard of it, I don't know what to make of it. But someone did bring that up to me, so I wanted to. If anyone does know anything about it, please.
I will say this, and this is coming from somebody who's been in this space for a long time, and someone who has been scammed over and over and over again. And if you are in altcoins, you have been scammed over and over. You just have. Okay. Do not trust anybody else with your money. I mean, guys, you have the ability to store your own money, to hold your own private keys. Why in the world would you put your money on some website? I mean, that is just, you're asking for it. You just are. So, guys, it doesn't matter what coin you have, Decred or whatever. Keep your own money. If you have Bitcoin, get a Trezor, get a Ledger HQ. If you hold Decred, we actually just announced this a few days ago. We are releasing an Exodus client, which is a big deal. We're very excited about that. They're an up and comer. They have really disruptive technology. Their wallet is beautiful. They're very fast. They do a lot of volume. We're super excited about that. And also, our wallets are good, and you can store this money, you can write down your 33-word seed, put it on a piece of paper, and throw it in your safe in your house and come back, 10 years later and see what happens. But don't ever put your money on some website. I mean, That's literally insane.
Do you think Decred? Do you have any talks with Trezor or any of these companies to integrate with them? Or a bigger question, and do you think you'll be on Coinbase one day? Someone wanted to know.
Sure. Yeah, we did reach out to a lot of companies, and we do have things in the works that are kind of, they're things that I can't speak about in public. That's really exciting about Decred. Just a quick plug. I mean, we're always working on something. We're always conspiring, and that's because it is such a community-driven effort. Somebody's always presenting something new. We should do this. We should pursue this. We should go after this. But we are currently looking for, I guess, private contractors. I believe we already have some in the leash for some solutions to do these hardware wallet integrations. It's something we're definitely interested in. So, it's something that's being actively pursued. I'll put it that way.
Here's a question from the audience. How big is the pre-mine? How much does it swing the governance in the founding team's favor?
Give me just a moment. Well, we have this wonderful website, and that is called www.dcrstats.com. And if you actually go to this website, you can see all sorts of statistics about the blockchain, the current hash rate, what block we're on, supply percentages, and things of that nature. Now, if you also go to www.decred.org, there's a pie chart, that will show you kind of the percentage of the pre-mine and things like that. I believe the pre-mine in its current state, and I'm going to this website really quick just to make sure. The pre-mine currently comprises 16.3% of the supply. Now, this dev pre-mine is actually locked until February 2018. Jake has agreed he is not spending a dime until then. After which, he will likely, as he said in our episode yesterday, continue to not spend a dime. And this isn't just some guy saying this. I mean, this guy has a long-standing reputation in the Bitcoin community. He's definitely coming from a trustworthy point of view. So, if you look at this pre-mine right now, let's see if it says how much it is. It does not, but there's currently 24.6% of the supply mined. So this pre-mine will end up being about 4 to 5% of the supply, when that time comes.
All right. There's your answer. I wanted you. There's another question here. What about the freeloader problem? What if people stop voting? How many votes are needed to get proposals approved?
Well, here's the thing about voting. People aren't going to stop because they're incentivized to vote. And as I said earlier, we have this kind of proof of sacrifice model where in return for you locking your funds and putting your voice forward, you're actually compensated in Decred. And because Decred has value, that's something that you are going to be interested in doing as a stakeholder. I mean, hypothetically, what you're talking about could happen, but when there is a monetary incentive to as a holder, to put your voice out there, not only because you can determine the future direction, that Decred takes, and that'll affect the value of your investment, but also you're rewarded for your say, whether is this last block valid? Should we reject it? Or, hey, do we want to do work in the Lightning Network?
Okay, this is good. Another question. Is Decred truly open source? Can people create their own private altered Decred blockchains like they can do with Ethereum?
Yes, Decred is open source, and I'm sure as we grow in size, you will see clones. It is inevitable. But kind of one of the drawbacks to that is Decred is written in Go, and it is a very easy language to learn, especially if you're familiar with other languages. But the problem with that is there's not as many Go developers as there is C++ developers. Ethereum, people, I believe that's Solidarity is what they call it. People learned that because it's huge. It's got $1 billion market cap. And there's just going to be clones, and they had this huge hype campaign. But yeah, I mean, Decred's open source. You can go to the GitHub and see all the commits and push and pulls and whatever, and you could clone Decred if you wanted to. Yeah,
well, that's the ultimate form of flattery. Yeah, right there. Here is a question just popped up there. Still need an answer on how many votes are needed. What if 51% of the coins are on exchanges or locked up?
Okay. Well, basically, we have this stake difficulty algorithm tries to maintain a target pool size of 42,000 tickets. Currently, about 40% of the supply is locked and is in the process of voting. So what it actually does is, over a period of time, every block, which occurs every 5 minutes, 5 tickets are selected, right? And those 5 tickets contain vote bits that are set a certain way. So we can vote, I think Dave said, on maybe 32 issues at once right now. It might be more. It might even be in the 60s, which is really incredible. So we can have a lot of things going on at one time. But we're going to actively poll, and the people that are staking these coins are people that are interested in the future of Decred. We're not talking about speculators or day traders or swing traders. These are people that believe long term and want to put their voice forward and kind of help steer the project, right? So we have a polling period that lasts about a month, I believe, and there's a threshold for voting, and we have to reach a 75% threshold, of people that want to push forward on something, that want to pass an agenda. Now, this is just for major kind of consensus changes. This is for things that change the rules of the chain itself, like an increased block size or something like that. The voting mechanism, the off-chain, the one that's actually pegged to the Decred blockchain and interacts with our blockchain, to hire people, fire people, should we spend money in advertising, et cetera. It's going to work in a very similar but different fashion. So it doesn't matter if we're not looking at all of the Decred in existence. We're looking at the pool of people that are staking this coin, because those are the people that are holding the coin. Those are people that see this as an investment, a long-term investment, and those are the people that are going to steer the coin in the correct direction.
Okay, all right. This is some good stuff. Now, you have covered a lot here today, and I want everyone out there to pound that like button right now, because we've got like 120 live viewers still.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's great. I just want to remind everyone that people ask me about altcoins a lot. We don't talk that much altcoins on here, but here you go. I gave Decred all the space they wanted. We did some hard questions. We did anything, and I'm not endorsing anything, by the way. People sometimes, they hear me mention a coin and then they come back to me the next day like, Adam, I bought 100. I was like, no, I didn't tell you to do that. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. This is obviously very interesting. No matter what, governance is the flavor of the month in the altcoin space. You can decide on your own who's serious about governance, who's not serious about governance, what governance means to you. At the same time, the thing that intrigues me about all of this is that it appears that if someone gets involved in this community, they can end up getting compensated by the community if the community votes on it to compensate that person. People can be hired by Decred. Again, am I misunderstanding anything here? Yeah, once that new implementation starts,
once the second layer comes out, that's definitely something that's going to be possible. So, right now, anybody who is interested, what I would encourage you to do is come by Slack. We're all really friendly. We have about 1,800 people in there right now, which is quite impressive. I've been in a lot of Slack channels. And just say hey and hang out. We've got a really cool group of guys there. The development team's there. We finally got them off IRC, which was a challenge in itself, but they're there. They're hanging out. Come by, ask questions, and interact with the community. And we've already had, people that we've brought onto the team because they have good ideas, because they're always there helping people out, and they want to do documentation. But the best way to do it is to put yourself out there. You never know until you try it. So put yourself out there, be passionate about the coin, do some work, and we recognize that. We'll definitely discuss internally, should we bring you on, should we not? And we're adding new team members occasionally. It's not like a constant process, but we have quite a few people working on Decred right now. It's more than people realize. I'd say it's 20 to 30 at the moment. And that's why so many things get done. We have all this documentation that needs to be written, and the document guys never get any love, but shout out to the document guys. You guys do a fantastic job. And I think Decred has the best documentation of any coin I've ever seen. It's beautiful. It's detailed. It's very noob friendly. It's got a lot of information. So yeah, just come show up and hang out. We don't bite or anything. Come on.
All right. I will. I'll get a link to that Slack and post it below. It's not linked to now. I'm sure you can find it pretty easily, but I like to have all sorts of links in the notes section below. Remember, always check out the notes section below these videos. Very important links. Okay, final question from me, and then some final thoughts from you. Vinny Lingham in the past has said, there's a lot of business skills lacking in the cryptocurrency space. And marketing specifically, it seems like you guys you've got some business skills here. You seem to have some organization. What do you think about that statement about business skills being lacking in the crypto space right now? I mean, a lack of professionalism on a certain level in certain places that I travel in this crypto world. What do you think about all that?
I'd say for the most part, that's a pretty accurate assessment of the current situation, and you do see these projects that are able to organize, that are able to put themselves out there. They're the ones that are moving forward. They're the ones that people are getting excited about. Decred is one of those. And, I believe, as we discussed a while back, Adam, you cannot succeed as an altcoin project without effective community outreach, without marketing. Now, Decred's marketing kind of approach thus far has been very community driven, very grassroots. Yes, we have, seen a 2,000% price increase from the beginning of the year, which is quite impressive. But with that being said, we're very interested in pushing the movement. We want to bring people into our community that are passionate about what we are doing, the potential of Decred, people that want to hold the token, people that want to vote, people that want to contribute. And, while I see some other coins that are creating this crazy hype on Twitter and Bitcoin talk, that's not what we're about. We want to make our investors comfortable. We want to be an investable asset. We don't want to be a pump and dump. We don't want to be a coin for day traders. We're here for the long term, so we need to act like it. So, yeah.
No, I gotta say, someone in the chat, Richie Rich, he's a great guy. He said, yes, this guy is a great salesman. And he means it as a compliment. And I think it's a great compliment. We can't, in the crypto world, there seems to be just sometimes people are so technical and they think they're doing a good job by using technical terms and intimidating people. You got to be able to talk to people here. You got to be able, explain it to the regular person. What is this about? Make them feel comfortable. And in the end of the day, the regular people have to decide, is this dude, telling the truth or not? Is this real? So again, you're a good salesman. And I compliment you on that skill. It is good to have a good marketing. You guys have your marketing act together, it appears. Let the coin speak for itself here. Let the coin speak for itself. We're going to you've got a lot of people watching this. A lot of people are going to play around with it. And they're going to go to your Slack. They're going to go to your Reddit. They're going to go all over the place. And we shall see. But I mean, hey, I gave you all the credit in the world for being on this show today. It has definitely been an awesome time. And do you have any final thoughts? Anything I didn't ask? Anything you want to say? The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, Adam, I wanted to add to what you just said. I am just some guy telling you about some coin, and I am a good salesman. So with that being said, do your own research, and I can't stress that enough. I think that if you do your own research, you'll see what I saw in this project. I was originally a community member here, and I was a bag holder, and I came into this project and I developed a passion for it after, close to 4 years in this space now. And that's coming from somebody, like I said earlier, who is a buy and sell kind of guy. I mean, just the very fact that I'm holding something. I mean, I have friends that make fun of me because I'm a community member now, right? And that's kind of an inside joke. And the altcoin community is, don't become a community member. That's the poison, right? But Decred is so much more than an altcoin. Decred is a movement. And if you come by Slack, I'm at DBT1033. Reach out to me, tell me your story, tell me a little bit about yourself. We really are happy to have you there. We really are happy to see you. That is slack.decred.org. You can go to that website. It'll send you an automatic link to your email. You can join right up. But come hang out, guys. And I don't think you should go buy some right away. I definitely don't. But I will say this, after you do your own research and after you look into this coin, you will come to the realization that there is no better buy. There's no coin with more potential than Decred has. And not only for upside, but the potential to evolve, the potential to, for change. And you're never going to get anything but raw honesty, just grassroots and good people at Decred. And that's what we're about.
And I guess to bring it back to the top of the interview, what we talked about at the top, I mean, Charlie Lee is universally known as a very honest guy in the crypto universe here, and a guy who just did something huge for Litecoin and basically for Bitcoin with the segregated witness. He's like a hero, and they call him the Pope. And I mean, he had good words about you guys. I mean, that alone is very interesting. But again, everyone, do your own research into this. Daniel of Cred, thank you very much for being on the show
man,
today.
I had a blast, Adam. I really appreciate you having me here. I know that you joshed on us for a while. It was hard to get us here or whatever, but I'm really glad we finally hooked up. Yeah. I know we deserve a little bit of it, but I'm glad we finally hooked up and made this happen, man. I had a blast, and I'm really fortunate, and I know the Decred project appreciates you having us on your show. I mean, it's definitely a big deal for us, and you're the man, dude. We really like your show and like everything you're doing for crypto.
Hey, well, thanks a lot, and hey, maybe you come back on in the future. We'll see if the people. I can't wait to. I'm going to join. I'm going to go in the chat after this. Maybe you can join us in the chat, see what the people think and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not too trolly tonight, too. I mean, you picked a good night to be on here. Sometimes it can be a madness over in that chat. I mean, it's like the on one of those trading boards. The what do they call it? God.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, we're gonna join you guys in the chat in a few seconds. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Do check out the notes section below. I'm going to give some more important Decred links down there. For now, that was Today in Bitcoin. I will see you guys later and talk to you in the chat right now. Bye-bye. See ya.